Okay, big weather event taking place at the moment. It's our top story this morning. So let's bring in our meteorologist, Rob Sharp. Rob, heavy rain focused on the border of New South Wales and Queensland yesterday, staggering those falls in southeast Queensland and Gold Coast in particular. So how bad is the flooding in these areas?
Yeah, so we saw some nasty flash flooding, particularly overnight in the Gold Coast and in the Tweed areas, and the rivers are starting to respond to that significantly as well. So you can see the totals, they climbed pretty rapidly through the night in those areas in particular. So look at that climbing there as the heavy rain came through. The Gold Coast ending up with 290 millimetres at the Seaway. That's the heaviest rain in 17 years for the Gold Coast Seaway. And we've also had some pretty heavy falls across the border, up to 250 millimetres in the Tweed River Valley as well. So very substantial flooding starting to take shape in multiple areas. For Mile Creek, based off the rain that was 24 hours ago, we are seeing major flooding there at the moment. The Tweed River, major flood warning for Tumbulgum, with moderate flood warning for the rest of the river system, although it may see further rises. Brunswick River and Marshalls Creek with major flooding. The Wilsons River at Lismore, we still could reach that major flood level. It depends still on how much rain falls in that region. So far, northern parts of the catchment have seen as much as 200 millimetres, but only light falls in the southern part, and therefore the Richmond River downstream from Corokai is also set to see some major flooding too.
Okay, and the rain shifting further south today. Which river systems are you most concerned about?
I'd say areas a touch further south could end up with some even bigger totals than what we've seen so far, depending on what happens with our east coast low. So that formed last night and is going to pound the coastline with torrential rain at times today, and possibly it could continue into tomorrow, which is the greatest concern. The severe weather warning still exists from about the Gold Coast down to Port Macquarie and for the eastern half of the northern tablelands of New South Wales. So this is the target zone for the heaviest rainfall today, and we're going to see it potentially reaching intense levels of 300 millimetres in a 6-hour period. So that's an increase in the warning that the Bureau had out yesterday. Some nasty rain expected in those regions. Major flooding expected for the Yarra and Bellinger and Kalang rivers as well, and flood watch for the rest of the northern rivers in the mid-north coast. And I think we could end up with some major flooding, potentially around Grafton even, depending on this rain.
Rob, thanks.